All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Sonder Social. For those of you who are new or new to Ikigai, I'm super excited to dive into the social. It's not an activity that we do often here, so it's a real treat to lead you through it. And I am, if anyone is new to Sonder socials in general, make sure to shout yourself out, say I'm new, and we'll give you a huge welcome. And for those of you who are not new but are new to this activity, welcome, welcome. And before we get started, make sure to check that your chat is set to everyone. It's the way we primarily interact with each other. So throughout this hour, so make sure to double check that that toggle is set to everyone. Otherwise, it will only go to myself and my co-facilitator, Jennifer Ogilvy. So she will be there in the chat with us. She is dialing in from the lake, super exciting, very summery, but she is here with us as well. And I am Malika. I'm leading you through today's social, and I will be your on-camera facilitator for this evening. And we'll go ahead and get started. I'm dialing in from San Francisco, California. So it's been really sunny lately, so very, very exciting because we don't get that often in the summer in SF. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. All right. So one thing I wanted to shout out before we get started into this hour is there is an exciting event happening this month. It's happening on the 18th of August at 5 p.m. Pacific. And it's really all about kind of turning off the autopilot and being in control. So as we're kind of approaching, school season, really thinking about kind of how you can really lean into the month of velocity, our theme for this month, and really aligning not only with the pace, but really with that direction, with that purpose, so that you're moving in the direction that you want to grow into. So, moving fast and going in a direction that's not aligned with what you want is not really helpful to anyone. So, really being intentional and about the direction we're moving towards is kind of what velocity is all about, which is a great precursor into um, okay, before we get started, actually, the community guidelines. Sorry, I'm kind of all over the place. Community guidelines, I'll run through this pretty quickly since I know a lot of us are returning, but be kind and courteous to yourself and others. No promotions or spam. Respect everyone's privacy. No hate speech or bullying. Limit any product and accessory questions and customer care inquiries and send those over to hello at Silk and Sonder. And Sonder socials, especially these journaling socials, are my favorite because I think this is where we really get the most out of our journals together. We really get to dive a little bit deeper into the prompts. And I'm here to help facilitate you through some of these journaling prompts because I know an activity like Ikigai, it can be a little intimidating if you've never done it before. And so going step by step is a great way to get through the exercise. So I'm excited for all that we're going to discuss. So let's go ahead and get started because we have a lot to go through in this hour. So the first thing I wanted to talk through is velocity. So I mentioned it earlier, but really velocity, the way it's defined on page 3, is the rate of motion, action, or progress in one's personal journey, measuring not just how fast, but how intentionally one moves forward in life. So, really thinking about kind of where you're moving towards, what goals are you striving for? And, it's not, I think also, I love what Neha says in her letter on page 2. It's like, it's not just about speed, it's about direction, right? It's not just about checking boxes, it's about choosing which ones matter. So velocity is momentum that aligns with your values, your joy and your season of life. I really like that analogy about like it's not about just checking the boxes. It's really about choosing which boxes really matter. I love that. And I think when we feel like we're not in alignment, we tend to get overwhelmed. We tend to get anxious. We tend to get stressed. And I feel like that's what happens when you feel like you're living outside of something that you're aligned to. So, that being said, I'm gonna introduce the opening activity for all of us, and then we're gonna move into the gratitude log together. And then we'll spend the majority of this hour on Ikigai and go through it step by step on page 21. All right, so let's kick us off with the opening activity here. This is a really fun one. It's kind of like a little bit therapeutic in terms of like drawing, but it's also a good representation, physical, artistic representation of kind of where the directions you're going in. So for this activity, find a blank space in your journal, or a scratch paper. And this activity is the velocity roller coaster. Yes, what Jennifer put in the chat is accurate. The roller coaster is happening. So draw steep and grueling climbs for the moments you felt heavy anticipation or hard work. Massive fast drops for the moments where things felt really chaotic, or out of control. And then full loops for the days you felt overwhelmed or like you were spinning in circles. And then for any point where you feel like you slowed down, you were able to pause, draw a flat, smooth track. So you can decide like the time span. I was joking before this and telling Jen that how do I draw like 5 loops to represent the 5 days of work and then flat for the weekends because I'm much more like calm and relaxed and zen on the weekends. And then I'm like incredibly chaotic and cannot sleep and just constantly context switching the moment I wake up. It just feels like I'm bouncing off the walls constantly, and it's really hard. So, that is kind of the activities. So, as you draw your kind of track, really find a specific section and kind of whether it be, the peak or the bottom or a flat stretch, like where did you feel completely present, strong, or proud of how you handled like the ride? So thinking about kind of where you'd put your little car on that spot to really represent kind of that section that you want to focus on. So I will give you all some time to draw out your velocity roller coasters. Have fun with it. It's okay if if it looks a little chaotic. I think that's kind of the intention here. But take some time to draw out your velocity roller coasters, and we'll regroup in a few minutes. All right. Thank you all for spending some time drawing out your roller coasters. I feel like it's a good indication of where we are. Some of us might feel a little nauseous on our own roller coasters because of how chaotic it may be. But it's good to kind of identify where the smooth points are, where we're feeling a little chaotic, and how we can hopefully have a few more flat roads in our future. So thank you all for partaking in this exercise. We will now move forward with our gratitude log. So go ahead and turn to page 13 of your August journals. I'll give you all a moment to just flip on over. And I wanted to kind of showcase some examples here for your gratitude logs. So these are great ideas. I love the way people take these and get so creative with it, with the colors, with the lettering. Just really fun and makes it more colorful and bright. And I think it's a really cool way to take it. And you can write one for each day, or you can write them all at once. You can really kind of choose how you want to set it up for the month. And here are some other examples as well on for the ones who are kind of focusing on writing something for each day. And if you happen to skip a day, you can always color it, which I like. I like this idea here. There's a lot of different ways you can take this. So I will give you all some time to figure out what you want to write in your gratitude log. If people are doing it day by day, I know it's only the fifth day, so hopefully you can fill out five things. But if you do want to continue forward and you don't want to do it day by day, you can just go ahead and continue writing. So I'll give you all some time to set up your gratitude logs, and then we'll regroup in a few minutes. And then here are some examples that I wanted to showcase for anybody who maybe feeling a little less grateful these days because of all the chaos that they're dealing with. Here are some categories to help jog those ideas, whatever it may be. Maybe you're grateful for your family or your friends, or feeling healthy and not being sick right now, or maybe you're grateful for the opportunities you're getting at work, or maybe you're grateful for, being able to walk outside, or being able to get fresh air, being able to be outside in the summertime. whatever it may be. So really think about kind of what that is for you. And I will give you all a couple minutes to figure out what you want to write in your gratitude log, and then we will move forward with Ikigai. All right. Well, thank you all for spending some time with the gratitude log. I think a lot of us are doing it on a daily cadence, but I hope that at least you got it started, and you can continue forward, and fill it out for the rest of the month. I think a lot of us have a lot of things to be grateful for that sometimes we don't necessarily write down. And I think even as I reflect, I think also I mentioned it in the chat here, but um, whenever I think about like things aren't particularly going well for me in my life, I tend to kind of get back to like gratitude, because I realize like, there's so many things in my life that are like my dream come true, and it is something that we should always just reflect on and be grateful for. And even in those hard moments, it's sometimes hard to remember the little things that we tend to overlook because they're just part of our daily life. So thank you all for kind of spending some time with your gratitude logs. As I mentioned, this Ikigai activity, we're going to spend the majority of our time doing Ikigai. So I'm going to lead us through what it is, give us some like framed context on what Ikigai is. We'll start off there before we even start writing and start reflecting, and then we'll move forward into the exercise step by step. So, let's dive into Ikigai, which is on page 21 of your journals. And I'll lead us through Ikigai. So, Ikigai is really a Japanese concept that really kind of directly translates to a reason for being, which ties really well with our theme of velocity, because velocity is not only about speed, it's about direction. It's being aligned with our purpose. And what better way to figure out what that reason is than the Ikigai activity? It's really coinciding very well with this theme. And really, Ikigai is kind of the reason life may is worth living. So directly translates to life, and Gai translates to value and worth. So the value of life. And it's not like a hustle culture hack. So this is not like, oh, we're trying to go and do XYZ. It's more about kind of being in a state where you are enjoying what you're doing on a regular cadence. So pursuing activities that produce enjoyment. And that's kind of the purpose of what this is. So it's really kind of making sure that we are it's Ikigai is kind of like the flow of how it feels. So really identifying kind of the experience of being in the zone. So when you're more aligned with the direction and the reason you find life meaningful, the more you enter this like flow state. And Ikigai really captures kind of what's worth doing in the first place. So everyone has a very different Ikigai. So nobody has the same Ikigai, and it's really about kind of what brings meaning to you specifically. So as we go through this exercise, we're all gonna have different Ikigais. We're all gonna have different reasons for being, for that make life worth living. So really think about that as we go through this exercise. So the myth, it's not just one big passion, it's often kind of several small sustaining things that coincide. So the traditional questions that get asked, and I think they're on your page here, we'll dive into a little bit, but basically, um, okay, there we go. So you can see these questions in that little Venn diagram here on page 21, and it's what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. So those are the four like cornerstones of Ikigai, and I'll kind of walk us through what each of those are. So for we'll start with kind of this page is quite small, so if you do want scratch paper, or if you want to kind of formulate your thoughts on a separate page, I highly encourage it, because that is really difficult for oh wait, can you hear me now? Is that better? I don't know why my sound is muffled. It shouldn't be. Hmm. Okay. Really? Mm, no, I did not put the notebook over the. Hold on. I don't know what's going on. Is it better? Okay. I did nothing, so I don't really know what I did, but I'm glad it worked. Whatever that was, I just literally moved my mouse. But anyways, great. We're back on track. So now you can actually hear me when I'm speaking. Okay. Anyways, so back to what I mentioned. It's really hard to feel constrained by a page. So I recommend, using a scratch paper or a blank page in your notebook to really kind of jot down your thoughts. Because I know I like whenever I do this, it's really hard to fit it all in this one little page. So I'm going to walk us through what each of these spheres mean. And it's really important that you kind of take a deep breath, maybe roll your shoulders back, maybe close your eyes just for a second, and then just open so that you can have a little bit of a refresh, because it's going to require some deep self-reflection, but we'll do it step by step together. So, for what you love, I would love for you to kind of think about or jot down kind of what you do or experience that brings you the most joy in life. So, what makes you feel most alive and fulfilled? What we love, like maybe, hobbies that bring us joy. Maybe it's something creative. Maybe it's something physical, fitness related. Maybe it's something that sleep. I love that, Mary. Sometimes it's rest. Sometimes it's spending time with your loved ones. So really thinking about kind of what it is that you love, and without really any concern of whether you're good at it, whether, don't have any, like, don't let that be a blinder. Just really be dedicated on like what you actually love, whether you're good at it or not. So think about what that is and write that down. The next phase is, what are you good at? So this is the sphere that includes anything that you're particularly good at. So, whether it be skills that you've learned throughout your education or your career or your hobbies that you've pursued, were there any talents that you had, or still have? What are you good at? Is it, playing the piano? Is it public speaking? Is it being empathetic to your friends and family? Is it sports? Is it, your credentials as a doctor? Or is it, painting or anything creative? Thinking about kind of what that is that you're good at. Maybe not necessarily something that you may love, but hopefully it's something that you love, but definitely something that you're good at. So really think about kind of what those skills that you have that are in your back pocket that you can always, you feel confident in. So really thinking about that. And then the next domain here is what the world needs. So the world might be, like humanity. It could be your community, within wherever you live. It can be really anything. So when we define the world, I know that's really macro, so it's okay to feel like it's a little bit more of a micro community, and really thinking about kind of what the world needs. So it might be, the world needs more, volunteers to do a certain thing in the community, or maybe more clean water, or maybe we need improved. something or the other. So really thinking about kind of what the world needs beyond just your own needs. And then finally, one of the harder domains is what you can be paid for. I think oftentimes a lot of the things that bring me joy are not the things that I think I can necessarily get paid for, but we live in a very different world now. So really think about kind of what the, what you can really get paid for. So what is something that there is a demand for? Um, and really thinking about what that is. So maybe you're passionate about certain things like hiking, but maybe you're not going to get paid for hiking. So, what are some things that you can really get paid for? So really think about what those are and what the market needs. So, yeah, I think Doreen, that's a good point. What happens if you're retired and don't want to get paid for anything? That's a great question. So, I think another way you can take this is really thinking about rather than from a monetary sense, what's something that you can be recognized for, that something that the world needs. I guess that's more in the what the world needs, but what's something that you could be rewarded for, maybe not in a monetary sense, but in a feel good sense. So I think that's something that you could kind of take it. That's a direction you can take it. Cool. So I know I rambled quite a bit here. There's a lot to go through. There's a lot to kind of think about as we kind of unpack this. So I'm gonna also have this on the screen here. You can see I have like a blank page where I like jotted it down. But you can spend some time to really reflect on each of these domains. And then we'll come together for those intersection points next. So first, I'm going to let you all focus on what jotting down things like what you love. It can be a bulleted list. It can be, phrases. It can be, whatever it may be that's just gonna list it out. I would just recommend jotting it down. And then we'll regroup in a few minutes for the next section of this exercise. All right. Oh no, the music should not be making you sleepy, but I'm glad you're relaxed. I know this is like not, sometimes it can be harder to do this exercise when you're just not in this brain space, but I really appreciate um, the folks that are kind of trying to really sit down and really identify kind of what your gifts are and how you've evolved. And I think what's really fun about this exercise is we evolve. So our Ikigai evolves as well. It changes directions, it changes. And I love doing this activity because even if you've done it before, you can do it again. And your Ikigai can change. So I love that. So thank you all for spending time reflecting on what you love, what the world needs, what you're good at, and what you can be paid for. We'll now move forward with kind of the next section here, which is those intersection points. So now we're in the Venn diagram and we see passion, mission, vocation, and profession. So here is kind of your Ikigai when you zoom into it. And these are the intersection points. So at the intersection of what you love and what you're good at is your passion. At the intersection of what you love and what the world needs is your mission. At the intersection of what the world needs and what you can get paid for is your vocation. And at the intersection of what you're good at and what you can get paid for is your profession. So, initially, I think these terms are a little bit difficult for me to understand as we often use these terms quite interchangeably. I'm going to provide a little bit more context of what each of these words are so that there's a little bit clearer of a definition. And I have them up here for you just as a reference guide. So your passion is that strong feeling of enthusiasm or excitement for doing something exciting and something for something or doing something. So it's either excitement for something or actually doing that something. And then your mission describes what we do and how we do it, and identifies the benefits of kind of what we deliver from our endeavors. So, describes us in the present, describes our purpose, and our true north that points us towards our future. A vocation is really a job or calling that one is focused on doing a particular kind of work. So, because they have a deep affinity, or attraction or talent. Um, and then your profession is really a job that we adopt. So it typically refers to much more of like your intellectual, rather than kind of the manual pursuit. So really thinking about kind of that lens of like a qualification that led you towards that profession. So whether it be teaching or whether it be, it can sometimes overlap with vocation a little bit, but thinking about kind of what you love and what you can get paid for is really that the profession. So sorry, what you it's think of your profession as what you're good at and what you can be paid for as kind of that intersection point. So that being said, those are the different domains here. There's a lot going on. So I want to make sure we have some time. I also wanted to showcase a couple different examples of completed Ikigais. So here you see kind of people that have taken it completely on a separate page. And it was, they kind of like listed out the what I love in the Venn diagram and really kind of detailed out kind of their passion, their mission, profession, or vocation. It can be a strong statement if you'd like. It can be bulleted. It can really be however you want to define it. So I recommend you kind of thinking about kind of how you want to phrase it. A lot of people use kind of a sentence or an affirmation. Some people, again, use bullet points here. So really feel free to take this in a different, any direction, and really think about where you are in life. And I think, thank you so much for being so vulnerable in the chat. I know it's hard to navigate the challenges life throws at us, and obviously our priorities shift. Sometimes we, need to focus on the things that are a little bit more pressing in our life. But I commend you on your strength and really thinking about kind of even how all of that shapes you. So even those negative things that occur to us, maybe they shift our perspective a little bit. I think it really brings a lot of perspective on what is more important for you going forward, and where you are today and where you want to go. So really thinking about kind of what that is for you. And I want us to really think about, after we spend, I'm going to give you all some time to write out your passion, your mission, your vocation, and your profession. But I really want you to think about this also in alignment with the theme. So, um, if your energy this month were a vector, so think of it almost as an arrow, not just like the length of where you're going, but think about it from like a direction. Which direction is it actually pointing? And when you think about it, is that the direction your Ikigai is pointing toward as well, or are they splitting apart? So when we think about kind of who we are this month, how we're thinking about our energy and where we're going, is it in alignment in the direction that your Ikigai is going, or does it feel a little off? And how do we course correct to go a little bit more towards where our Ikigai is going? I think that's like a great way to frame it as well. So I'm going to give you all a little bit more time to write out your passion, your mission, your vocation, and your profession. And we will regroup in a few minutes. All right, I know we're approaching on the last bit of our hour together. I always tell everyone this hour goes by so fast, especially when you're doing something so deeply reflective, and purposeful. And I just want to commend you all for not only taking this hour for yourself and being so intentional about kind of working on this activity that can be quite heavy and honestly very hard to do, but also being so vulnerable in the chat and like sharing about, how this activity is going for you, what you're dealing with, what's been going on in your world. And I just love this community so much. And I really feel like it's just I'm so inspired by each and every one of you. So thank you all so, so much for spending this hour together with us. Like, whew, this is always a heavy one. Journaling socials are my favorite personally because of how deep we get, how bonded we are. And I always, yes, Beth Ann, you're correct. We learn so much from each other, and I'm just so inspired by each and every one of you every single time. So thank you all so, so much. As you can see, we draw a lot of examples. So make sure if you feel comfortable to share your pages with us in Sonder Club. And I am just one more kind of reminder here. We do have that event popping up. It's free. Bring your friends. They don't have to be a part of like Silk and Sonder community. If they're outside the community, that's fine. Bring them anyways. It's really open to folks in your lives that would enjoy this type of event. So make sure to block your calendars off. It's completely free. So if you can make it, I highly, highly recommend. And if you didn't get to this activity, that's fine. I know this one requires a lot of thought and intention, and sometimes it's hard to be in that mode. So thank you all so, so much. Even if you stuck around and just hung out in the chat, I really, really appreciate for you all being a part of this community. And I hope you have a great rest of your week. And I'm so glad that you spent this hour with me and Jen, and I can't wait to see you at my next one. So have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.